Recording of Nectar and a Sieve by Kamala Markandaya, Part 1, Chapter 23. My third son, Murajan, who was a servant, married a girl from the town in which he worked. We had not seen her, nor did we know her family, and the marriage, in the second year after Sakrabani's birth, was solemnized but at her parents' house without either of us being present. Had it been at all possible, we would have gone, but it proved beyond our power. The town was over 100 miles away, and since the harvest had been a poor one, and Selvam was earning very little, we had not the money to go by rail. Durgun, it is true, had a bullock in addition to his milch cows, and a cart which he offered to lend us for a small sum, but Nathan was not fit enough to undertake the journey there and back. He was nearing 50, and no longer as healthy as he had been. He had begun to suffer from rheumatism, and apart from this he had several attacks of fever, from each of which he recovered more slowly and emerged weaker. Sometimes, in the middle of sowing or reaping or tilling, or the innumerable tasks the land demanded, he would stop and straighten up, breathing hard and trembling. Often he was unable to continue work and was forced to lie down in the hut for a while. Ira and I did what we could, but the land is mistress to man, not to woman. The heavy work needed is beyond her strength. Several times Kenny came to see him, bringing food and sometimes medicine. He told me bluntly that my husband was not getting enough to eat. "We eat well enough when the harvest is good," I answered him. "But of course, we have our lean times." "Too many," he said. "Your husband needs milk and vegetables and butter, not plain rice day after day." I looked at him incredulously. "Those can only come our way when the yield is rich," I said. "It cannot always be, or indeed even frequent, for we are not rich, you understand." "I was not thinking," he muttered. "Of course, I know this too." Then one day he told me that my husband would not recover until he stopped worrying. "He is very anxious about you," he said. "You must try and reassure him." I would do so, only if it were in my hands. But what comfort can one offer a man who sees his family wholly dependent on him, and no one else to see to them? When I had said the words, I thought, perhaps he will despise me for my weakness. Perhaps this will make him think I am a self-pitying good-for-nothing, anxious only for my own well-being. And I added quickly, "There are others to consider besides myself. I do what I can, but it is not much." "I had not thought otherwise," he said gently. "Tell me, is there no one else apart from your husband?" "No one. My sisters have children of their own. Besides, they live very far away. We have not seen them for many years. My sons, well, they have made their lives elsewhere, as you know." There was a silence, and I thought, now I have wounded him. I did not mean to. I made a move towards him, but he seemed to shrink back. Both hands came up to bury his face. "I do not grudge," he began timidly. He took his hands away. I saw the imprint of pain on his face. "And I have taken the last of them," he said. "Why do you not say it? It is true. I have taken him, and there is no recompense." For a moment the words would not come. There was room in me only for feelings very deep, very tender, for this man who felt for me. "You have taken nothing that was or would have been ours," I said at last. "Selvam never belonged to the land. He would have never been a farmer like his father. Do not torment yourself that he has turned from it and found his peace with you. We would not have had it otherwise. Yet in your hearts you may have wished for something else. If so, we have long forgotten it. We would not wish for our son other than what he would wish for himself. He has chosen well." Another silence. "Do you never," he said, "think of your future? While you still have your strength and can plan? Naturally, we think. But plan? How can we? It is not within our means. Is there nothing you can do? He asked. Nothing at all? What can we do? There are many like ourselves who cannot provide for the future. You know it yourself. Yes, I know. I do not know why I asked. It was needless. There was no provision at all, he said, speaking half to himself. Neither for old, nor young, nor sick. They accept it. They have no option. He looked so stern that I grew alarmed. Do not concern yourself, I said definitively. We are in God's hands. He looked up sharply, abruptly, as if some chain of thought had been rudely broken. Then he left me. Nathan was lying within. What happened? He asked, turning to face me. You were a long time. We were talking. That is all. What about? You are as persistent as your grandson, I said. But being older, you should know better. We were talking about Selvum. Kenny thinks that he will be good. He is shaping well. I am glad. Tell me, did he not say anything about me? Only that you were not to worry, and then you would soon be on your feet. Worry? What about? Did he say? About anything. You are to rest. Well, he said, I can see you are guarding your tongue. Never mind. I can guess. But I shall be well soon. You will see. A few days later, he was up, and to my astonishment, for the next year or so, he had no further trouble. Then, one day, when I was congratulating myself on his recovery, the blow fell. I was out gathering cow dung. I did not see Savaji come, and he left quickly as soon as he had delivered his message. I came with my basket half laden, and saw my husband sitting on the floor, staring out before him, a dazed expression on his face and his lips trembling loosely. Sakrabani was crouched in a corner, hugging his knees in his arms, and his pink, fascinated eyes, half curious, half terrified, fixed on his grandfather. I sent the child out and went to Nathan, thinking he had another of his attacks, but he seemed to wake up when he heard my voice and waved me away. I am all right. Here, drink this. You will feel better. I tipped the mud pot and filling his bowl, handed it to him. He drank obediently as if to please me, spilling a little in the process. He was still shaking. I sat beside him, waiting. The land is to be sold, he said. We are to move. Savaji came this morning. He says there is nothing to be done. I could not take it in. I gaped at him unbelievingly. He nodded as if to emphasize that what he had said was so. The tannery owners are buying the land. They pay good prices. The tannery? The word brought instant understanding. Realization came like a rocket, swift and fiery. They can't, I remember saying helplessly. It is our land. We have been here 30 years. Nathan opened his hands, trembling, impotent. Savaji tells me that there is a profit to be made. The landlord has completed the deal. Papers have been signed. We must leave. Where can we go? I wanted to ask. But that is a question at present without an answer, and I refrained. Instead, he put the question. Where are we to go? What shall we do? How much time have we got? I asked, preparing for the worst. He does not expect us to leave at once. He has given us 2 weeks. Time in which to go, which is lenient. A dozen lines of thought began and continued in my brain without ending, crossing, tangling, like threads on some meaningless warp. My head was whirling. I must sit down and think, I said to myself, but not now, later. Follow each thought to its conclusion. Decide what we are to do for ourselves. plan, as Kenny said, for ourselves and our children. This present chaos is madness. I do not know why they need this bit of land, I said, in the manner of people who must say something for the sake of the sanity which speech can bring. Certainly they cannot build on it. It is a swamp, meant only for rice growing. Nathan shrugged. Who knows? Perhaps they can drain it, tighten the soil. They have resources beyond our imagining. Or perhaps they wish to grow rice for their own men. He too was speaking like me, automatically, for the sake of speaking. I made another effort, a pitiful one, for the words, I said, were the last to bring comfort. At least we shall not have much to carry. The granary is almost empty. He nodded in dull agreement. Then once again we relapsed into silence, sunk in our own thoughts. Somehow, I had always felt the tannery would eventually be our undoing. I had known it since the day the carts had come with their loads of bricks and noisy, dusty men, staining the clear, soft greens that had once colored our village and cleaving its cool silences with clamor. Since then, it had spread like weeds in an untended garden, strangling whatever life grew in its way. It had changed the face of our village beyond recognition and altered the lives of its inhabitants in myriad ways. Some, a few, had been raised up, many others cast down, lost in its clutches. And because it grew and flourished, it got the power that money brings, so that to attempt to withstand it was like trying to stop an onward rush of the great juggernaut. Well, I suppose there were some families who saw hope in it. For their sons, indeed, many still depended on such earnings. And if my sons had still been there, my thoughts might have been different. But for us, as we were now, and the others like us, there could only be resignation and resentment. There had been a time when we, too, had benefited. Those days seemed very remote now, almost belonging to another life. But we had lost more than we had gained or could ever regain. Ira had ruined herself at the hands of the throngs that the tannery attracted. None but these would have lain hands on her, even at her bidding. My sons had left because it frowned on them. One of them had been destroyed by its ruthlessness. And there were others its touch had scathed, Janaki and her family, the hapless Chakli, Kanan, Kunti even. Yet, I must be honest, as my husband and sons have always been, the tannery could not be blamed for every misfortune we suffered. Tannery or not, the land might have been taken from us. It had never belonged to us. We had never prospered to the extent where we could buy. And Nathan, himself, the son of a landless man, had inherited nothing. And whatever extraneous influence the tannery may have exercised, the calamities of the land belonged to it alone, born of wind and rain and weather. Amenities not to be tempered by man or its creations. To those who live by the land, there must always come times of hardship, of fear and of hunger, even as there are years of plenty. This is one of the truths of our existence, as those who live by the land know that sometimes we eat and sometimes we starve. We live by our laborers from one harvest to the next. There is no certain telling whether we shall be able to feed ourselves and our children. And if bad times are prolonged, we know we must see the weak surrender their lives, and this fact, too, is within our experience. In our lives, there is no margin for misfortune. Still, while there was land, there was hope. Nothing now, nothing whatever. My being was full of the husks of despair, dry, lifeless. I went into the hut and looked about me. Brown mud walls that had crumbled many a time and had been rebuilt many a time. Coconut thatching, some of it still part of the old palm lighting, had destroyed, as I can tell from the color. Bare, beaten floor and baked mud, hardened with dung wash. This home my husband had built for me with his own hands. In the time he was waiting for me, brought me to it with a pride which I used to be better at living, had so nearly crushed. In it we had lain together, and our children had been born. This hut, with all its memories, was to be taken from us, for it stood on land that belonged to another, and the land itself by which we lived. It is a cruel thing, I thought. They do not know what they do to us. When Seldom came home that night from his studies, my husband broke the news to him. I do not know what I expected. Indignation, anger, perhaps sorrow, but he betrayed no emotion. He put the books that he was carrying in the wooden crate he had made. Then he sat down, still keeping his own counsel he had made. Then he sat down. Ooh, no. The wavering light from the wick and in its saucer of oil fell on his face, somber and serious, as it always was in repose. Well, I thought, this cannot affect the life he has chosen, and so he is tranquil. And then I reminded myself that he was ever like this, that he seldom spoke until he had paused to reflect, and I felt ashamed. In the brooding silence, I heard Nathan shift his position again, and I thought, naturally, he is impatient. He has good cause. We have 2 weeks to leave, I said. They have agreed to let us stay till then. You think that is good of them? Seldom said, his voice hard and sharp like crystals. He lifted his eyes to mine. I saw they were black and smoldering, as if some deep flame of anger or hatred burned in him. Nathan made reply for me. It is better than being sent out at once, as others have been. Seldom turned on his father. You have accepted it? You have made no protest? What option have I, my son? Naturally, I protested, but it has availed me nothing. It is not just, Seldom said. It is not right. Yet, there is no law against it, said Nathan wearily. We may grieve, but there is no redress. Where will you go? We must go to Merjan. He has a good job. I am sure he will welcome his parents. It is a long way. With respect, you are not as young or as fit as you were. Yet the efforts must be made, said Nathan, for we cannot live except by the land, for I have no other knowledge or skill. And as you say, I am getting on, and for me, it would be impossible to find another landlord, who indeed would rent his land to such as I am, past hard labor and uncertain of paying what I owe. His words pierced me, hardened though I was, realist as I wished to be. Do not say these things, I said. I cannot bear to hear them. They are true. Whether they are true or not, I cried, I will not have you saying them. I would not distress you, Nathan said quietly. Yet must we not face the truth so that we can make our decisions. Have I told you anything you do not know yourself? No, I thought desolately, but I could not say it. Could not. I closed my eyes and felt his hands on my temples, where the pulses beat, gently stroking, soothing me in the only way he could. He suffered for me, not so much for himself, and I likewise, so that although together there was more strength, there was also more suffering, and if each had been alone, the way might not have seemed so hard. Yet I knew neither could have borne it alone. Thus confused, my mind turned this way and that, like a paper kite dipping to every current of air, unsure of its own meanings. At length, in the midst of the blackness, I heard Selvum speaking, and I opened my eyes. He seemed to be struggling for himself, for the words did not come easily, and the fierce inner battle he waged had brought the sweat out on his forehead, and left his lips dry. He was addressing his father alone. No doubt he dismisses me as an hysterical woman, I thought. He is not far wrong. I can always return to the land, he was saying. I am young and able-bodied. Together we can rent another piece of land, live as we did. I saw my husband's eyes kindle. I saw in them, fearfully, the light of hope. You should not have said it, I cried silently to my son. It is too difficult for him, cruelly difficult. But already Nathan was shaking his head. No, my son, I would not have it so. He spoke reluctantly. There are some things that cannot be sacrificed. Besides, I would never be happy. Certainly your mother would not let me rest. He added, smiling a little. No, we must go. Ira and Sakarbrani must come with us. Of course, there is nothing for them here. I will stay, said Ira, whom we had supposed asleep, and she rose and came and knelt beside her father. I will not be a burden to you. I am happy enough here. People are used to me and to my son. I cannot start a new life now. If I can, said Nathan, whose youth is only a memory now. Why not should you, my child? You are very young. It will not be difficult for you. I must think of my son, she replied. How will you eat? I said. Where will you live? I must think of my son, she replied. How will you eat? I said. Where will you live? If she decides to stay, said Selvum, she will be with me. I will look after her. I swear it. And the child? And the child, of course. Is it possible? Nathan asked. It is little enough you have for yourself. Do I not know it? Said Selvum bitterly. It is perpetual. Shame to me that I have nothing to offer my parents, yet I promise they shall not go in need. If it had not been so late at night, if we would had been less tired and dispirited, we might have argued with Ira, partly for her sake and partly for Selvum's. As it was, we said no more, not that night at any rate, although, subsequently, we had more discussions than I can recount, excepting only that we were to go, and our children and grandchild were to stay.